Elden Ring is an expansive game that tells you literally nothing about where you're going or what you're doing, just like Gandalf in The Hobbit. Here are the major mistakes in Elden Ring that you need to avoid.
I'm going on an adventure!
Hey, this video is sponsored by you. Be sure to comment your own tips down below so we can all help each other out. And if you're going to like this video, be sure to subscribe, like, do all that good stuff. Let's go. First, we'll talk about tracking your progress. It's a bit of an umbrella topic. And first off, Elden Ring does have a map, but there are very few map markers. It's your mission, should you choose to accept it, to mark NPCs that you find, bosses that you found and haven't killed yet, and the wandering vendors and other locations of interest that you may find throughout the world. Make sure that you're talking to these NPCs every time you come across them, and also exhaust all of their dialogue options. Sometimes you'll have to talk to them twice and press the talk button again, or even 3 times to get all of their dialogue out. Sometimes the conversation will just end, but they do have more to say. It's well worth getting all of this dialogue out because there's lots of information that they can tell you, as well as quests that they'll give you, but there isn't actually a quest log. So in this case, if they do give you something, I would recommend to start some kind of a journal or write it down and say, you know, this NPC here asked me to find X thing over here, or they wanted you to talk to someone else, and then make sure you return to them once you've done that, and then you can continue on in that quest. The closest thing to quests, I guess, is that some of the vendors will have notes that you can buy. These are relatively cheap, so it's well worth buying them every time you come across them. You can view these in the info tab in your inventory, and they will tell you something valuable, whether it's a certain way to kill enemies, maybe it'll tell you there's a vendor in this location that you should go investigate, or just some kind of secret thing that maybe you need to go and explore and figure out what it actually means yourself. But this is kind of the closest thing to quests in the game, but there are actual quest progression with some of these NPCs and talking to them, and they will often ask you to do something, and it's very easy to forget what they've asked, so make sure you write it down so you can return to them later. Next is Stormviel Castle. Now, Elden Ring has a critical path, like that golden line that you see on the map, and that first critical path really sends you to Stormviel Castle. The game kind of loosely shoves you in that direction. It's the first landmark you see and kind of points you to go there. And the first boss, just to get into Stormviel Castle, can be quite challenging, and that's before you've even entered the castle. I would recommend not to enter the castle, or even try really in the very beginning. You're missing out on tons of good gear and bosses and upgrade opportunities by exploring first. I would highly suggest to explore all of Limgrave and the Weeping Peninsula before tackling on Stormviel Castle. This will net you all kinds of gear that you'll find, as well as runes to just level yourself up, and it'll really help you understand the game and its combat mechanics. The game throws you right into that boss, and it's much better to explore first. And I've always found with Souls games that there's like this moment where it just kind of like clicks, and then you fall into this rhythm and everything just makes sense. And Elden Ring makes this process so much easier by allowing you to explore and tackle those different mini bosses and areas like the catacombs and the other areas that you can at your own pace before you even go into that first kind of major hurdle. And as you do explore these areas, once you've been to an area that you don't have a map fragment for, make sure that you check the map, because there will be a stone pillar listed there, and you can put a marker there and go there and actually find the map fragment. You've got to explore the area a little bit first and kind of get rid of that hidden fog of war, I guess, that doesn't show on the map. But once you've done a little bit of exploration, you'll be able to see the stone pillar and go there and actually get the map fragment for that area and unlock it for you. Just makes that exploration a little bit easier, so you know where you can go, because when you look at the map, if something looks interesting, you should probably go there. There's probably going to be something there. And that leads us into our next point, which is upgrading. In Elden Ring, the primary way to upgrade yourself is by farming the runes and leveling up and choosing where to put your stats. And by the way, you should focus on just leveling up 2 to 3 stats. Don't try and spread across the board, as you won't really be good at any one thing, and that can really hinder you the further you get into the game. But what I realized after some time is that your weapons actually are the major increase to your overall damage, or I guess combat power in a broad bracket of term. You should be upgrading them at the smithing table, and later you can do this at the Roundtable Hold as regularly as you can. This will give you significant boosts to your overall damage output. You should also check the Ashes of War, as you can change the attribute scaling on weapons with different Ashes of War, as well as change the damage type that weapon does. So you can really min-max a little bit with the Ashes of War. They can benefit you in other ways than just simply using the Ash of War as its ability itself. If you want to farm the smithing stones that you use to upgrade, the best way to do this is go to the Limgrave tunnels. This is located behind that big scary dragon dragon in Limgrave. This mine has tons of ore deposits on the walls that you can get the smithing stones from. There's also lots of enemies in here that will drop smithing stones. You don't have to worry about the boss at the end. You can kill them if you do want to, and I mean, why shouldn't you? But you don't have to kill them to get the smithing stones. So you can go here and farm the smithing stones, and you'll find them all over the map as well if you are exploring. There are plenty of ways that you'll just come across them, or they'll just randomly drop from enemies. You should be using these stones to upgrade your weapons as much as you can, and you'll find more caves like this that will have these deposits in them throughout the game that you can farm all of these stones for, especially the higher level ones once you get to that point. So don't be stingy with the stones, and make sure you're upgrading them to benefit you in the long run. Now, I hate the night. Maybe I'm afraid of the dark, I don't know, but I hate the night in most video games. Everything just gets darker, it's harder to see, enemies sneak up on you, it's big, scary, you know, it's just no fun. Unfortunately, in Elden Ring, there are certain events and enemies that only occur at night. It's funny that it's kind of like Dying Light, where we just finished talking about Dying Light, but there are certain things that occur at night, and the most early example of this is the Knight's Cavalry mini-boss that only spawns at night, just near the gatefront area if you are trying to find them. You can pass the time at any grace site, and you can also check your map as well to see what the time of day is in the bottom right hand corner. There are other effects at night that will happen as well. Your stealth is improved than during the day. Enemies seem to be less aware of you. Their cone of vision is smaller at night, so you can do more stealth opportunities here if you do choose to. It also seems to affect just the general wildlife around. You're going to see a lot more bats at night just kind of roaming around the landscape than just your typical animals that you will see. Enemy patrols and their locations seem to be adjusted. Things are more sitting around campfires than wandering around. Things change at night, and it's well worth exploring and just seeing what is different. If you have even been to an area before and spent tons of time in there during the day, you may find something new at night. Our last big tip is the Roundtable Hold, and this is an area that is unlocked after you've completed a fair bit of exploration. I believe you have to see the first boss in Stormviel Castle. I don't think you have to kill it, but let me know in the comments if you know the exact specifics of how to get this event to trigger. But basically, something will occur. It's very simple. Just go to a grace site, something will happen. I'm being a little bit vague to avoid spoilers, but it's almost impossible to miss this once you've hit the specific requirement. The Roundtable Hold is only accessible via fast travel, and it's a central location that holds many NPCs for you to talk to for quests and just general chatter. You can also upgrade your gear here at the smither. You can buy new incantations from the vendor, as well as gear and other upgrades from one of the other vendors. You can receive a blessing here, and this is also where you can change your appearance at the mirror in that same room at literally any time. You can just go in there, change your appearance, if you're wondering how you can do that in the long run. What's not mentioned here is that the location will change as you progress through the game and find different NPCs or complete their quests or unlock certain things. Be sure to check back here regularly and explore all the rooms and talk to the NPCs. Some NPCs you find throughout the world might actually come back here and have different dialogue, or their dialogue might change as you do or kill certain bosses in the actual main game world. I originally ignored most of the happenings in the Roundtable Hold, except just returning here to upgrade my gear and then just fast traveling out. But then I started to notice the rooms were different. Some of the doors had opened. It's well worth checking back here just to see if anyone has anything new to say to you. You should also check out my starter guide for Elden Ring, which goes through all the basics you need to know for the game. Thank you for watching this video till the end. Thank you to our members for supporting the channel. My name is Norza, and I hope you have a great day.